Second.
Moving second.
Mr. Ellis?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Daniel?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Harris?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. McPherson?
Yes, ma'am. Public participation,
We have none.
resolutions and recognitions.
All right, first one is the Melvin Bennett Murphy Community Service Award. I think Ms. Daniel, you gonna take this, presentation on the floor?
Yeah, take this presentation over.
Good evening, everyone. Today, we're going to present an award to a group of students. But first, I would like to, this is the first time we've given this award, and I want to tell you a little bit about the person that we named the award in honor. Melvin Murphy is the wife of Rob Murphy and the daughter of Fred and Lawrence Bennett. She is a retired educator from the Wayne County School System, serving the students of Wayne County for over 34 years. After 34 years of service, during her tenure as a Wayne County high school teacher, she served as the student council advisor for 20 years. The standards that she set as an advisor are parallel to none. To this day, because of the standards that she established, our student council is known as one of the elite student councils in the state of Georgia. Her service to the students of Wayne County went well beyond the walls of the classroom, as she orchestrated mock elections, and we also used actual, back then, it's not like the little things that you all have now. It was these little clicker things that you had to go in the curtain and close the curtain and pull the lever down. But she orchestrated it so that we would be able to have that type of experience and create a generation of voters that are still voting here today. She's still rendering her services to the community as a member of the Wayne County Tourism Board. Am I right, Ms. Murphy? Yeah, Wayne County Tourism Board, okay? I present to you at this time my state and local and my sociology teacher, Ms. Melva Bennett Murphy. And the group that she will be presenting to today, you know, a lot of times we recognize our kids only for things that people think that they should be recognized for. And we don't recognize them for things that really mean a whole lot. And it meant a lot to me. And it took a lot of courage for these students to step up and do the things they did. Even though they're in a student council, most student councils don't do what you all do. Trust me, I've taught in 3 school systems. And you all are remarkable. You're marvelous. And for them to be walking around school reminding their classmates, let's keep a mask on. That is one of the greatest mitigating factors that we've been told that can be done. And the thing about it is you say, well, they just tell the other kids to put the mask on. That wasn't very popular. Put yourself in these kids' position. Wasn't very popular. But they did it. The Wayne County High School students are doing it. And as a result, you know, we've had some cases, sure, but nothing like it could have been. And so it came upon me when I went to the high school one day and I looked at some of the things that you all had done, that you all need to be recognized for, you know, your bravery and for contributing and giving back to this community. But you didn't just give back to the high school, you gave back to the whole community. So Ms. Mela, I would like Ms. We always call her Ms. Mela. I want Ms. Mela to, I want her to share some of her experiences as well as a student council representative. We've got this nice weekend.
That's exciting. I had to tell my sister-in-law. Thank you so much, Erin. I like to, I never met a microphone I didn't like. Right? That's right. All right, so I'd just like to share a couple of things with you, put in context what's going on. But first of all, I am humbled, and I do not take lightly this award. If I have a legacy, knowing that it's anywhere with student leaders is the most positive thing that I can think of. I do want to say that I firmly believe that anybody who gets recognition in any field, they are like, let's say that a river is going by and you scoop up some water. There was water that came before that, and then there's water that will be after that. And the things that I was able to do in the student council, first of all, to my principals. Poor old Dr. Static, I think I'm the reason he doesn't have so much hair. I get these notes from him, what's this about a dress-up day? Nobody's talking about it. I didn't break that. But you cannot say, first of all, you're having a leadership program that to be supported by your principal now and your superintendent and your school board, it's just incredible. Never take that lightly. And that there was Wilma Rudolph, who was a Olympian, I think in track and field. She said nobody ever achieves anything that somebody didn't help them get there. And I feel like that it's incumbent on us to always recognize others. So there were the people that came before me, Harley Grove, Peggy Reed, Linda Thompson, even Dr. Static. And then there were people who gave me the opportunity to make student government my thing. And then there's the ones who are coming after us as well, and that have been in the area. You know, so to beg, borrow, blend, and build. And you take, I mean, we've got where our student council got to be exceptional was when we started going outside of Wayne County. Let's see what everybody else is doing. Howard's High School at that time was huge. So we just came home and we borrowed everything they did. Women Academy was the same way. Then eventually, we became the ones everybody else was like. And that's, you know, but you have to give credit that who came before you and knowing that people who are carrying it on are, you know, that's the way that it should be. I got a lot from a woman, and this means probably nothing to you, but it means the world to me. A woman named Patty Ireland. She was about 10 years older than I. She was the advisor at Howard High School. She was the Southern Association of Student Council's head advisor. And I really got to see, you know, the potential. And, you know, just do so much more than you ever thought. And here's, I used to have to validate. Ms. Riggins can tell you, and she helped me, we used to have to validate that student council was not extracurricular. It was co-curricular. You're learning skills that are going to take you to the workplace and everything else. And I'll give you a cute little story. I think it's a meaningful story. So Patty Ireland, the Southern Association of Student Councils, her school was one of hosts in Atlanta. And while she was there, one of their, or a couple of years later, one of her former students was working for the Carter Center. Anyway, one of her students was working for the Carter Center and was wanting to organize an international peace symposium. This was a girl who had been, you know, on her student council. And she said, Pamela, how in the world do you know what to do? She said, Miss Ireland, I just got out my project planning sheet from student council and I started working it out. And so it is co-curricular. You are learning a vocational skill, you're learning leadership, you're learning business. There's just so much. I commend your advisors of the day. And I commend each of you I'm eager to see where you're going to go from here. I was talking to, I had to work in the story about my granddaughter. So I was talking to my 5-year-old granddaughter, and her mother was in the background. Her mother said, tell Sweetie, what are the 3 things you're concentrating on? So she's 5, and she's precocious. And she goes, being kind, and being respectful, and giving more than I take. That last one is what I really like. I was given a lot. I hope in turn I gave equal to that. And I'm so proud to see that you're still doing that kind of thing and leading the high school and also our community. Could not be more proud. Thank you so much. This is Melvin Bennett Murphy, and I always have to put my parents. I'm a little school teacher. She taught me a lot. Presented to the Wayne County High School Student Council. First of all, the State Board Co-President, Shirley Frazier. Big thing. Congratulations. And the State Board Co-President, Alexia Fair. The State Board Vice President, Ashton Davis. State Board Treasurer, Laura Kate Robertson. State Board Church Secretary, Cameron Brooks. State Board Parliamentarians, Ansley Carter. State Board Reporter, Ernie Gordon. State Board Historian, Tony Smith. Oh, yeah. Everybody's Everybody, Chaplain Levi Cousy. GASC Vice President, School Representative Preston Kane. GASC Vice President Carolyn Armstrong. GASC Vice President Luke Hendricks. Senior Vice President Gage Morgan. Senior Vice President Maddie Whitway. Senior Vice Secretary Treasurer Charlie Williams. And Senior Vice Parliamentarian Jack Burns. All right. This is presented to the Wayne County High School Students Council, and I'd like for you to help me give a warm round of applause to Win Beneath Your Wings. That's an old song, you may not know it. Work with me. To Lynette Beaver and Elizabeth. I talked to your advisor.
Yes, sir.
Where's
We'll
the
just run the
bag?
front.
I love it.
Sorry.
Get them off?
Y'all can take down this for a second. That's okay, I promise you I won't get paid. So you heard about the big band.
Guys, Melissa,
That was less than 15 minutes, right?
All right, I want to give you a gift, and I want you to go out and pass it on. Play it forward. Take what you need, and then give as much as you take. Oh, blessings too. And one more thing. It says a lot about a community that they want to recognize people. I applaud Ms. Sharon and the entire board for recognizing you. And you'll set an example for other people to want to follow.
I don't know if I ever told you, Ms. Melba, but when I went to college and I was sitting in class, and I never forget the lady's name. Her name was Miss August, and she taught sociology. Well, Miss August asked me, she says, well, Sharon, you reading ahead? Because I was answering all the questions. I said, I don't have to read that. We used the same book, and I had a good teacher.
That's right.
All right, next recognition we have our Parker's Fueling and Community Donation. This is something we've had going for a couple of years.
Yes, so Wednesdays are 1 cent Wednesdays at Parker's, and it's their fueling the community project. And Parker's donates 1 cent for every gallon of gas sold on the first Wednesday of every month. And to participate, you pay with your Parker's Pump Pal debit when you fuel up. Parents and other supporters of our school system can become Pump Pal debit members by downloading the Parker's app or picking up the Parker's reward card from any Parker's location. And you want to be sure to fill up on the first Wednesday of every month. And so this year, Parker's has given the Wayne County School System. Fritz, if you want to come take this. A big check for $2,000.
See if the bank will cash it. Just to let you know, the schools get an allocation of that 2,000, and the remaining, I believe, 1,500, been earmarked for the REACH scholarship program. That's that $50,000 a year worth of scholarship money that we're actually, this is the first year we'll be actually awarding those scholarships, those $10,000 scholarships to 5 graduates. You know, we started off in
Wow.
grade with a cohort every year. This is the first year we'll have 5 graduates, but again, this is Partners in Education Group is taking on that responsibility, and this is just a part of that. All right. And the last recognition we have for tonight is Dr. McDaniel. I'll let you find out how Dr. Steele has done it, but we have one of our best and brightest that's been an honor bestowed upon her, so I'll let him share the details.
Mel, you get away with it, I guess.
I don't know.
State School Superintendent Richard Woods has selected 64 Georgia students to serve on the 2020 Student Advisory Council. Throughout the school year, these middle and high school students will meet with Superintendent Woods and discuss the impact of state policies in the classroom. Council includes a representation from every recent district in the state of Georgia. Members were selected from a pool of more than 1,400 applicants. And out of the 1,400 applicants, only 64 members were chosen. We were fortunate enough at Wayne County High School, now Wayne County School System, and Wayne County Community. You guys are honored to serve on that 2020 advisory committee with Superintendent Woods. So I would like to recognize Andy Bell tonight as being on the part of Superintendent Woods. Ask what your essay was.
But it really is just a blessing and I'm honored to be selected to serve on the board. I hope to bring new things to show leadership throughout the school and to make better leaders and hopefully more people be chosen from our district and from everyone. And like I said, I didn't hear anything, but really I'm just extremely honored to be selected and I'm going to represent you all. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, first item of business was, our local board governance training report that we do have to file. I was just checking to see if we're ready to take action. It does require action, so you can choose your, our whole board training topic. We have to report that in as well as your individual training. So if we're ready to move forward on that. We're fastly approaching the deadline. It's, they have not gotten everything.
I talked with, I text you all, I think, Mr. Richard Smith with Risa. And from our last meeting, the two areas I thought we were looking at was strategic planning. And then the other one was the leadership development. And I talked with him, he would facilitate them. He's a former principal and superintendent and head of Risa, right?
Correct, yes,
So,
sir. Executive Director.
he would facilitate those at no cost. And one of the things that intrigued me was the fact that he was saying we would sit down and review ours, and then he would give us some time to work on it. It's not just all day talking and lecturing. And then, of course, it's an ongoing process. That one, and then the leadership, that's been a pet peeve of mine. I'd like to see us start looking more towards looking at people, teachers that feel like can be a leader, as in assistant principal, and eventually work into a principal, and then hopefully a superintendent. But those are the two topics I think Mr. Harris mentioned: budget, finance. I'll let y'all discuss it. I probably would recommend moving with strategic planning at this time.
I think it's very incumbent upon us to start working on strategic planning and training, being that that's going to be one of our main objectives, as we transition through the superintendent search. Once that new person's in, that's what we're going to be working on. So I'll agree with that.
Well, I received some email the other day about being on the strategic planning committee. And one of the things we're doing the strategic planning that we have to also keep in mind is that when we make the strategic plan, we have to have stakeholders involved in this process as well. So, you know, I think the question came up, do we start now? Do we wait until the new superintendent come in, or do we do a combination? And I expressed that I felt like we should go ahead and do a combination and not wait, because if we go ahead and start the process, then you're not rushing and you're going to get a quality finished product and a strategic plan, as opposed to putting it off until, once the person get here, he's got to get settled in March, April. It's due in June. That's just too rushed. So I think we should go ahead and start working on it. And then when that individual comes in, then he can look at it and we can still meet and we can tweak it. If he needs to add something to it, he feels we can do that. If something needs to be taken away, he can do that. But everybody come back together. But at least there'll be a plan in motion.
We have one until June, Dr. Brinson, I think, to get the training.
Yes, sir, to satisfy your training hours, and that, that may be extended, but I would say it's end of June.
Right.
Okay, I'm gonna get finished. That's all the hours. 3 of them have to be the,
Whole board training.
which is what we're talking about, I guess, the strategic planning, and then you get your other 6, however, a lot more, we usually get that at the conference, and you still can. It's just gonna be virtual this year, or you can get it other ways, a lot of online courses, and I look for them to start, moving back to some face-to-face trainings as well.
Is the RISA's strategic plan model, is it similar to that of GSBA? Is it on the same line?
I'm not, we've never.
You're not familiar with it?
before, so I can't speak to it. I do know that, Mr. Smith, he's a retired superintendent, experienced administrator. If he's walking us through it, he's gonna allow you to tailor it and make it your own, like you talked about, like
Right.
we talked about. I'll also share with you, with some of our federal program work, we've already done a lot of work that's more of a year-to-year type plan that we're required to do with our federal funds that fits into this already, all right? It's just the board needs to broaden it out further, to encompass the whole, everything, from facility planning to budget to, leadership development, all those types of things that go beyond just 1 year. It goes 3 to
Right.
5 years. Strategic planning has kind of changed a little bit with school systems.
Right. Goals are included in that. What we,
Right, so, a good jumping off place would be for us to present to you kind of what we're doing, kind of in-house, the district-wide part, and then branch out, like I said, outside stakeholders do, they are expecting, and we need their input to, what they see, what they expect, what they, what the priorities are. That just helps with everything. That way there's no surprises when you get ready to campaign for another East Boston renewal. They know what we're doing.
Right.
We're part of it, so that
Right.
just helps in the communication process.
I don't have a problem with going with RISA if you think that y'all think that, it'll be a quality experience. Yeah, I don't have a problem. Yeah, I don't have a
I know
problem.
some other systems that have utilized those.
And it's going to be economical for us as well. So,
Yeah, it's not another expense.
Yeah, we're paying for it already. That's part of our
Right.
membership.
We're already taking on the expense from GSBA. This will be an additional cost if you do it from GSBA.
I make a motion that we go along with strategic planning as our training, and we use First District RISA, to train us.
Move it second. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
But we also need your individual area that you're planning, and it can, that part can change. We don't have to take action on that. But like Mr. Harris, if you're still interested in finance, for example,
Yeah.
we can write that down and turn that in. And you don't have to get all 6 hours in finance. I mean, that's where you're gonna start, maybe is your focus. My suggestion would be try to spread it around, but there's nothing wrong with more than one board member doing the same thing.
Right.
Did you want to stick with that one?
Yeah. Leadership as well. So, I can move around, but yeah.
No, one, Anybody else ready?
I'd like to look at the leadership development.
I'll search around in those areas and just kind of see some things that are out there. Like I said, I really think hopefully we can get back to some more of the person-to-person type trainings after the first year. Me and Ms. Ellis attended a board chair workshop. They have some specific workshops that's pretty good. Out there. Anybody else ready?
I like the one about, I can't remember the specific name of it. It's dealing with, involving the community. With stakeholder, yeah, stakeholder involvement.
Okay.
What are some of the other options, Jay? I know it makes sense for us to kind of divide our, cover as many bases.
TSB, when they had that comp, they really have those three. One of them is, just equity in our school system overall. I know that's an area for instruction, offerings, resources, everything to do.
I'm good with that if you, I'll do that.
Okay. Okay. Like I said, these things, they can change and you can sign up, and that's not as crucial as the whole board training. All right, we'll get that turned in. Thank you very much.
Do we need to look at the timeline, Dr. Brentson, for starting with recent?
Yes, sir. I would recommend just, and I'll get with Mr. Smith. Why don't I get Mr. Smith to his availability and that sort of thing, if that's an issue. Again, I'd recommend us, myself and the directors kind of working with you to kind of get you up to speed, because we had a plan for last year that we were ready, we kind of shut down, so we're kind of starting the year with a plan already, so we've got a lot of work kind of completed. And we're going through the year, so we're kind of fine-tuning some things, kind of cranking that process back up. So if we get that work in, I think that will give you a good idea of where to go before he trains you, and we have that whole board training. And then we'll kind of map out, what month that is. That's something we may can get in as far as in-house work before we break for Christmas. And then we get on the books for the whole board training after the first of the year.
That's what I was
Sound okay?
thinking, maybe after the first of the year.
Yes. That should feed right into all the other decisions with personnel and, the new hire, hiring season, the budget, and all those things. All right, I'll work toward that. All right, this time I've asked Ms. Denny to kind of give us a quick overview of where we are with the regional College and Career Academy that we are pursuing to be part of, and we are. That process and everything's really moving quickly, along with some other things that we have going on, really in the state of Georgia. Denny?
So I titled this Change in Opportunity because with a lot of changes that are happening in the state and with the advent of this regional college and career academy, it's going to produce a lot of opportunities for our students and our school system. And so first I'll talk about the opportunity of the Southern Pines Regional College and Career Academy. And so by the title that it is indeed a regional academy. So you can see the 5 school districts that are impacted: Wayne, Pierce, Bacon, Jeff Davis, and Akron. And the College and Career Academy will be housed in Baxley on the same site as Coastal Pines Technical College there in Baxley. And we're really fortunate to be part of this Regional College and Career Academy. The process for receiving one of the state grants for this is highly competitive. And typically, school systems have to apply 2, 3, 4 times before they're awarded the grant. But the Southern Pines Regional College and Career Academy was kind of a special case, and it was included as a line item in the state budget. Survived even after many budget cuts had happened due to the pandemic. And so this project is heavily supported by Governor Kemp as part of his efforts to ensure workforce development in the rural areas of our state. We're partners in this with, of course, the other 4 school districts that are listed there, and also with Coastal Mines Technical College. This has been a big part of workforce development in all of these counties that the workforce planning group has been part of all of this. And, you know, of course, we always think, gosh, why can't we have a house here in Wayne County? But Abilene is central, and, you know, it's only about 30, 35-minute travel time. And that is not an unusual amount of travel time for students to have to travel across the state to take advantage of college and career academy, school enrollment opportunities, and things like that. And so we're really excited to be part of this initiative and really excited for the opportunities that it gives to our students. So, what is a college and career academy and how does it benefit Wayne County and our students? So it's a specialized school program that's established as a partnership between schools, business, industry, other community sponsors to prepare students for careers in industries that are local and regional. So we're looking at things that are right here in our region, needs that are here in our region. The committee has talked to businesses in these local communities. What do you need? What kinds of skills do you need for our students to come to you with so that they can be work ready and be ready for a job? So how does it benefit us? Well, it prepares students not only for college, but also for careers. So it's opening up choices for students. Some students have a goal to go to college. Some students want to go directly to work, but they need a skill set in order to be able to do that. College and Career Academy will help with that. It offers sequenced specialized curricula that is career-based and academic as well. It will provide new offerings that we're not currently offering that are heavily influenced by the needs of local businesses and industry. Again, it does not duplicate local programs, and we still earn FTE funds with students who attend the College and Career Academy. And so we're still in the process of doing a needs assessment on what kinds of things will be offered, but some of the things that they are talking about offering are industrial systems technology, construction technology, plumbing, masonry, electrical construction, drone technology, computer programming. There are some other things that are related to forestry and timber that they're considering as well, but all of that has not been finalized yet. And so the College and Career Academy, the Southern Pines College and Career Academy, is going to be an exciting opportunity for our students, but also our community. And so you think about those 5 counties that are involved, those will be people that our local industries can pull from, that will graduate from high school with industry certifications, and who will graduate from high school being work ready and ready to contribute back to our community. You know, just like Melva talked about, that, you know, take what you need, but try to give back more than you take. And so this is an opportunity for us to give our students a great opportunity, that for them to settle right here in Wayne County and give back to the community that helped to raise. Questions about the College and Career Academy? Okay, so now I'm going to talk to, I told you I was going to talk to you about change and opportunities, and I'm going to talk to you a little bit about change. And so 2 weeks ago, the Department of Education released a document called A Roadmap to Reimagining K-12 Education. And the premise of this is that the pandemic has required us to rethink a lot of how we're doing school right now in Georgia. And so this roadmap to reimagining K-12 education comes with 10 goals. And the first one is to ensure a well-rounded education for all students in every part of our state. You know, sometimes in Georgia, we talk about the two Georgias, Metro Atlanta and everything else. And so the goal of this project is to make sure that children all over the state have opportunities to become very well-rounded students. Those are opportunities like art and music and gifted programs, robust CTAD programs, world languages, and that those opportunities would be protected from the in-person things that happen that get cut when budgets get tight. That goal also includes wraparound services in our schools. You know, more and more we are asked to provide important services just for the health and well-being of our students. And this plan is building in a goal to ensure that we can provide those wraparound services at our schools. The second goal is to adopt a student level rather than a grade level approach to teaching and learning. And so this is all about learning progressions, learning pathways, and to ensure that we are personalizing learning for our students. More and more, we look at students and we look at, you know, in special education, we've always talked about individualized education plans. More and more, we're talking about individualizing the educational experience for what a student, what an individual student needs. And so this is part of this reimagining plan. The third goal is to create multiple diploma pathways, and I've got another slide on that, and so we'll come back to that when I think you'll be really interested in that. The fourth goal is to ensure that every Georgia student graduates with a jump start on post-secondary success. And so that might mean taking advanced placement classes or international baccalaureate classes, dual enrollment opportunities, or earning an industry credential or participating in an ROTC program. That they have a jump start on whatever's going to happen to them when they go out into the world during their post-secondary time. The fifth goal is to continue the reduction of high-stakes testing while focusing on formative tools. And Dr. Brinson and I have talked about several times how we can feel the pendulum swinging in this area, and it's swinging with a good bit of momentum. A couple of years ago, I served on an assessment flexibility task force when I was president of PAGE, and that task force was all about figuring out different ways that we can have high standards and hold our students accountable to high standards, but move away from high stakes tests that come with a lot of negatives for our students as well. So that's a big part of this plan. The sixth goal is to develop an accountability system that is tailored to individual districts. And so instead of just CCRPI, and these are the indicators that you have to have, they're looking at a menu of indicators. And so Wayne County would be able to choose. These are the indicators that make sense for Wayne County. And so these are the indicators that we're going to use. There would also be a section of core indicators that everybody would have to use, but then we would have an opportunity to choose the ones that were important to our school system and our strategic plan and to our long-term goals. The seventh goal is to modernize the state's K-12 funding formula. I've been hearing that goal since I started teaching in Georgia. And so, but you know, it's a great goal. One of the things that they want to look at is they want to look at the poverty indicator. They also want to look at providing real help with things like transportation and ensuring that we have non-academic support, those wraparound services available in our schools. Eighth is to define and provide access to a 21st century classroom for all of our students and all of our teachers, whether that's in a brick and mortar school building or whether that's happening at home. So a lot of that is about technology and technology infrastructure, but there's another part of our students being in 21st century classrooms, and that has to do with making sure that students are good communicators and good collaborators and that they're creative and critical thinkers. Those are the 4 C's of 21st century learning. And we need to make sure that students in our classroom are having opportunities to develop those 4 C's. The 9th goal is to commit as a state that flexibility should be given and not granted. And that has to do with the fact that right now we're a strategic waiver school system, but we had to apply to be a strategic waiver school system. And so the thinking here is that school systems should be granted or should be given flexibility to meet the unique needs of their students. And of course, that requires a lot of alignment between local, state, and federal requirements. And finally, my favorite and one that's really near and dear to my heart is a goal to reinvent the teacher evaluation system and to elevate the teaching profession. We've got to get back to a place where our most talented students want to go into the classroom and nurture and teach our young people. It is so important. I believe that it's God's work, but we've got to make teaching attractive to bright young people who want to change the world. And there are a lot of things that we can do to elevate the teaching profession. And a lot of the things that we can do to elevate the teaching profession have to do with goals 1 through 9 that will allow us to reach that goal 10. And so I'm excited about the reimagining plan, and I think we'll see a lot more of this to come. And the last thing I promised to show you, and you can see that this is a draft. So I can't remember what year it was that we moved to the 1 diploma system, but wow, I don't know, I guess it's probably been 12 years ago or so that we moved to the 1 diploma system. And so now they are looking at multiple diploma pathways. And you probably can't see this, but down there at the very bottom, it says that for all of these different types of diplomas, you still have to have the 23 Carnegie units. Right now in Wayne County, we require 26 Carnegie units, but that's because we're on a block schedule. The state requirement is still 23 Carnegie units. So they're not taking things away, but if you study this, and I'm not going to go through every detail of this chart, you can see that if a student decides that they want to go for the workforce diploma, that they're going to still take their core classes, that they're going to have different opportunities than somebody who wants a technical diploma or a military diploma or a college and university pathway diploma, that they will have different avenues to reach those 23 Carnegie units that will lead to them graduating with a high school diploma. And so, in a way, this is a little bit like going back in time, except that it is different. The last time we had this many diploma choices, we had things like a regular high school diploma, a college prep diploma, a tech prep diploma,
Special ed
and I
diploma.
believe there was one other. And so this is a move back to try and keep kids where they are and help kids set their goals early on, and for us to then help our students be well prepared to go to that next step in their life. So this is exciting too, and I have a feeling that this, the multiple diploma pathway, is one of the things that we're going to see a lot of quickly with this reimagining.
Got a question for you.
Okay?
On the multiple diploma pathway, will like a college prep student have the opportunity to do something dual if they want to do something within the workforce as well as college prep?
Yes, because there, if you look there at the core plus and the major areas, there's a lot of blending in those areas. And so a student who knows that they're going the college and university pathway, they can still get be a CTAE pathway completer. And so it doesn't lock you into a lockstep, next. There are multiple opportunities for lots of the areas. One of the things is that last column where it says the different quality measure, you can see that a lot of those things are the tests that students have to take. The AccuPlacer, of course, is the test that students take to go to our technical college. The ASVAB is a test that students take when they're planning to go to the military. And then, of course, there are the SAT and ACT tests that are part of going into college and university. We'll see if those stick now that those have been waived because of the pandemic. That may cause some changes in those areas as well. Other questions?
All right, thank you, Ms. Denny. All right, next item was a COVID-19 update. Just want to open that up for discussion. And Ms. Denny's also prepared a little information too. That was a question. So, does anybody have any questions? I know there was, and I sent some information to you about the number of quarantines are up a little bit. But I just want to remind you about what quarantines are. When we say quarantine, we probably shouldn't say quarantine. We probably should say isolate or in isolation. That sounds like a little bit semantics. If someone tests positive, yes, they have to quarantine for 14 days, 10 days, depending on the situation. But isolating teachers, students, whoever, that's a mitigating action that we put in place to prevent, a possible outbreak. If a person turns out to be, we're isolating them instead of it turn out to be, one case. If we're not isolating, it could be 5 or 6 or 7 or 10 cases. We're not doing this. So that's the reason we've been pretty consistent in all of our actions as far as when we quarantine people. So I don't see the number of positive cases in our schools, in our system, or even in our county hasn't changed. I know there's some hot spots in our county now that I feel are the root cause of some of our increased quarantine numbers. But even those numbers are not, concerning to me, to the point that, we feel like we need to shut down a whole school or the whole system, in my opinion. We are watching, there's a couple of areas that we're watching real closely. And what I mean by that, sometimes we'll take a class and we've sent everybody home we need to send home, okay, because whatever, they've been directly exposed. But we'll still take the whole class and isolate them while at school. We'll let them eat lunch by themselves, or they don't go to PE or recess for the rest of the school until kind of that danger zone of days has passed. And again, all of this is, when we get information, Carla Armstrong kind of runs point on that, and she picks up the phone every time and calls Department of Health and talks to our epidemiologist. Trevor uses the one we talk to every single time. And we give him all the information. He asks questions. We go get some more information we need to. And then he gives us his suggestions, opinion, and we go from there. But anyway, that's what I have for you as far as where we are.
These classes that are quarantined, that are being isolated within themselves because I guess someone tested positive around them, are these students riding the bus or how are they getting to school? Are they isolated in that particular situation?
No, we're not told them they can't ride the bus. Everybody's supposed to have masks on, and again, we're putting in as many mitigating factors as we can. In that situation, we are checking temps every morning. Those types of things. We're not told they can't ride the bus. And we've been successful with it. I mean, we're doing the same things that we've been doing the last time we.
Just for curiosity's sake, is there a total number, not like new ones today or new ones yesterday, but like right today, is there a total number of just how many students are not, and teachers that are not in school because of it, whether they're quarantined or whether And that, just curious is all. I know I talked with you earlier today, and there
Yes,
were
sir.
4 cases yesterday, new, but
we have employees, and again, this is the whole system, we have, it gets complicated because some people are coming back.
that's what I'm
So you
saying.
see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So you got folks
I didn't know if it
coming
was-
back off of quarantine and something going on, so
Yeah,
that's the reason.
I didn't know if it was an up-to-date number, of just how many were out, like maybe today, just today.
Yes, sir. We have 3 people at Arthur Williams, added to, I believe we're up to,
Some at Arthur Williams,
might be
some
4 at
at
Arthur Williams currently.
just elementary, some at Old Elementary.
And it might not be something that, I was just curious.
And 3 teachers, at this building.
Yeah.
1 teacher at the high school.
There's one at Oldham Elementary, right? Or is that a teacher or a student?
I don't have an older building. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, yes, I do. Yes, I do. 1 OES employee, I just read. That was from last week.
Okay.
We cut it off on Friday, so, you know, again, so you got Saturday, Sunday, I tried to get an update, but it's kind of messy, because some folks are coming back tomorrow, even some of our quarantines are coming back tomorrow. So,
Well, that being said, and we got all that data, where are we in the event that something was to happen and we would have to shut down? Are we to the where we have one-to-one devices for our students? Have we got to the point that we've updated our bandwidth so that students would be able to easily access the internet without, any
yeah.
problems?
And I asked, yesterday afternoon, I asked Ms. Guinea and Ms. Jones took ill today at school, so she got some information together, but I've asked Amy, she put some things together to kind of run through that. Ms. Guinea, you want to run through that real quick?
So, Ms. Jones shared this information with us. Our bandwidth has been updated over the last several weeks, or upgraded, I guess, over the last several weeks. And so far, since that upgrade has happened, we've only been 50% capacity. So it feels like we still have a long ways to go before we use up that capacity.
That's something that's something we've been doing along years, every year or so. We've been adding. We feel like bandwidth, we're in pretty good shape, but we did purchase, some more in preparation if we had to go to the whole system. So we feel like we're in good shape with that piece.
They've gotten 12 internet access points from the, 8 came from the Georgia Department of Education that are going to be installed outside of each school. And those came from GADOE. And then we received 4 additional ones from an HP grant. And those will be placed in areas like the track, ball fields, and those will actually be installed by technology and maintenance. We also now have 19 large mobile internet Wi-Fi range or hotspots that have just arrived this week. They're actually back there, maybe like a small flying sausage maybe. And those will be mounted on buses, and the buses then put in remote areas so people can access broadband there. 1,000 device protection sleeves have arrived and are being used as we check devices out for students. It just kind of makes transport a little safer for the devices. And we're expecting shipment of 2,000 Chromebooks in mid-November. And these were some of the ones that have been delayed, but we have confirmation now that ours will be here in mid-November. Some of the districts that were in that situation received confirmation for February or March. So we're thankful to be getting ours so soon.
Do we already have a certain number, either 2,000 more?
Yes, this is
So
2,000
what is our-
additional.
What is our total now, do you know?
It's tough. We have plenty for everybody. It's all about them being updated enough, be able to run all our platforms and software and those types of things, because And every year, you have some kind of, aging out.
But what?
Will they work? Maybe, maybe not. So we're trying to get it, but there's no doubt they're gonna work.
Right. So we got that additional funds that we received from the software glitch. We're going to utilize any of those fundings to make sure that, we have everything that we need.
We can.
Yeah, because that's a lot of money. So I figure, that wasn't budget. We didn't expect that, that's a big gift.
It is.
And I feel like we can use some of that to make sure that we have technology and things we need and,
I'll just remind you, we started this budget year about $5 million in the hole, with a deficit. So yes, that was something unbudgeted revenue, absolutely. But we're going through this dipping in fund balance, no doubt. So
right.
just keep that in mind.
I just want to make sure that we got what we need,
Oh, I understand.
yeah, for the kids and
I
stuff.
agree.
That's all I'm saying. I don't mean that we got to go and just buy up the world,
I
but
understand.
I just want to make sure that we got kids that need access and need a device that we can provide that, goes with that plan that Ms. Denny just presented to us.
Yeah, we feel like as far as devices, that 2,000 is going to get us where we need to be. We had to go the whole system. To answer your question, is that 1-to-1? No, but it's down the road pretty good.
Yeah, and I guess the reason why I ask is because most houses or most families have more than one student in the school system. So if you ask those families, do you have a device in your home? The answer is going to be yes. But if you go back and ask those families, do you have a device that each one of your students can use, simultaneously? 9 times out of 10, the answer is going to be no. And so that's why I feel like it's important that we try to get to the point that we're 1-to-1, because that's the reality of it.
Right. I'll just do that.
I had one computer in my house.
No, that was one of the questions we asked on our stakeholder survey back in July.
Mm-hmm.
And, I want to say of the 5,000 or so who responded, only about 40% had multiple
Devices, right.
So, so that is a thing. The last little bit of information that Ms. Jones provided is that, she's talked to y'all before about the Verizon hotspots that we purchased, and some of those have been loaned out to families who are involved in virtual learning right now, whose internet did not suffice at their house. And so that's been helpful. She's also been able to provide those for staff members who maybe have big quarantine and live way out and don't have access to the internet at their homes. And so that's been another thing that she's been able to provide for departments to provide for us.
I got one more question, and I'm gonna leave you alone, Amy. And it's dealing with the devices again, but I know in some systems where when you issue the devices, they've gone through a company, and parents are able to purchase insurance. It's like $35 of insurance. So if something happens to the device, then the device is covered. Are we looking at anything like that, or?
I don't know. I know that I've heard Ms. Jones talk about that. She's aware of it, but whether or not we decided to go that route, I don't know. I do know that she worked really hard on agreements that we asked parents to sign. And we have checked devices out to parents during this 9 weeks of virtual learning. And they've been asked to sign a document, but I don't believe that we have offered that insurance.
And I had a parent ask me this question, who's also a teacher or whatever. They were wanting to know, for the younger grades, they feel as though that it's easier for the younger grades, like especially kindergarten and those kids, to use tablets versus using a Chromebook, because a lot of the stuff they do is, touch. And so that came up, in the conversation. I was just gonna put it out there that, that was brought up to me.
Some of the Chromebooks that we purchased
Are touch.
touchscreen.
Okay,
I don't think those are more expensive.
Oh, yeah.
We do have touchscreen Chromebooks in the system.
Okay. I'll relay the message. Thank you.
Ms. Denny, you want to go quickly, just kind of update on our virtual learning, how we transitioned back just yesterday, matter of fact, so.
So just real quickly, just to look at the numbers, you can see that during the first 9 weeks, we had 434 elementary virtual students, and, as of yesterday, we had over 200 of those children come back to school, and so this 9 weeks, we have 209, virtual learners in elementary school. And you can see the numbers right now. I just want to applaud all of our elementary principals and our teachers and everybody involved, because it was like another first day of school yesterday for about 200 children.
Just say what's wrong.
So that required lots of schedule changes and reacclimating children to school, and kindergartners coming for the first time, and they did a great job. So thank you to all of those folks that worked hard to make that happen. These are middle and high school numbers, and of course, our procedures were that middle and high school students would only be able to come back at the end of the semester, and so right now we have 535 secondary virtual learners, and you can see the breakdown there at the bottom of schools. And just to refresh your memory, our instructional models for our virtual learners, in elementary, it's really a hybrid model. This is having to change a lot, though not a lot. I mean, it's still going to be a hybrid model, but all of our elementary, I think we have one elementary teacher left who is fully virtual. And all of our other teachers that were fully virtual are now have children in person, and they're serving some virtual students. And so that is putting a lot on those teachers. But the instructional model is that they're using Google Classroom and Google Meets. And of course, our students have access to iReady, but our elementary teachers who are working with virtual students have weekly pickups of some paper and pencil materials. Our schools have just done a great job of arranging for parents to pick those things up and making sure that children have what they need to be successful. Middle and high is a little different. We have a digital curriculum that's based on Georgia standards, but it's a curriculum that we were able to customize. Wayne County teachers customized it to match our pacing guides. And so, for example, if we have a lot of students come back into our middle schools in January, that they should be at the same place in the pacing in the curriculum guide that children who have been here at school are in. So hopefully that will make the transition a little more seamless. Those facilitators, those virtual facilitators, do have scheduled office hours and weekly Google Meets with their students and with their parents, and also depend on input for a lot of communication. And so, when you are looking at what you need, and this whole year has been looking at what we need and trying to learn from yesterday and be better tomorrow. And so I decided to just look at our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats as far as our virtual options go. So I think that the big strengths are teacher commitment. I've been just overwhelmed at seeing what teachers are putting into ensuring that our students who are learning home are having a good quality experience. We have good technology tools. Our teachers have good technology tools. Principals have made sure that they have cameras and microphones and all kinds of things that they need. We have great communication with even though, Mr. Booker Wilson gives us great truancy support, truancy support for virtual students, but truancy support for virtual students has been really, really important. We're thankful for Mr. Wilson. Our teachers have had an opportunity to really be creative, and they are, and they're sharing that. And we've also seen a lot of professional growth with our teachers. And so I think that those are the strengths. Weaknesses are a time factor. You know, time's always our worst enemy in education, it seems like. But, you know, now we have a lot of teachers teaching virtually and teaching in person. And there's only so many hours in the day. Student attendance at those Google Meets meetings is not what we hoped it would be. Seems to be a little more of a problem in middle and high school, but even in elementary school, you know, parents will say, oh, well, we didn't make the Google Meet because we ran to the grocery store, we ran to town. And so there's a little bit of a difference in the approach. But those times are really important, and teachers are really, and we've had parents tell us, you know, I have to go to work, and so I just have to count on my child to do that. And, you know, sometimes 13, 14-year-old kids are not raised to hold themselves accountable. And so that's something that's a weakness and something that we can work on. So some opportunities that we're going to have to address is that we've got to have plans for reacclimating students as they come back to school. And also if they got behind, how are we going to make sure that they catch up with their peers who are at school? Scheduling considerations are really important. Again, I know all of our elementary schools have had to reschedule almost everybody, and we'll have to do that probably over and over again this year. And we also have an opportunity to engage our families in new ways. And I know that our family engagement facilitators at the schools have really been working on this. They meet a couple of times a month in the building outside of my office, and they are doing a great job with making plans to engage those. And so the threat, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Just a question. So, like all our elementary schools, is there a common schedule that each school goes by, like each virtual class that students start at the same time as virtual class in Odom, or what is the schedule?
No, there's not a common schedule, and so like in elementary school, just like with in-person teachers, elementary teachers often make their own schedules. Now, we've generated some sample schedules that we've shared with people, and you know, they all kind of end up looking similar. Most of them start with a morning Google Meets or a morning meeting just to kind of get the day started, and here's what's going to happen. You know, now that we're hybrid and teachers are teaching in the classroom and they're asking their children at home to log in to Google Meets and be part of that class environment, it's a little different. But we have asked those teachers to still make sure that they had some time during the day with parents or students. I don't know if elementary there would be some students, but that people can call and get, you know, some direct help and assistance. But the teachers have all made schedules so that there are synchronous times during the day where the child has to be logged in, and then there are asynchronous times, which might be that they're working on their iReady or they're working in their consumer textbooks, and things like that. But for the most part, they try to start the day with some sort of synchronous meeting. There will be one. There's a lot of synchronous times though for our elementary students. It is no small thing what those teachers have done and what they've been able to accomplish. And y'all, every one of our virtual teachers said to us, I don't want you to farm these kids out in somebody else's room when they come back. They're my And I, you know, Wayne County has great people that if you aren't in the schools daily, you know what teachers are dealing with, to know that teachers at all 5 elementary schools volunteer and say, I will make this work. Let me keep my kids and I'll make it work. They deserve lots and lots of praise and accolades for what.
Ms. Denty, you make a comment that some students are not participating in the group sessions as they should. Some of them sleep late and don't attend the classes. Is this going to be reflected in your grade?
Well, yes, and I mean, and I think that that's been, I think that that's been something that's been frustrating to some of our parents that, you know, they say, well, my child's always made all A's, or they've always been an all 90s student, and now they're not. But if they miss some of that direct instruction, I mean, our teachers are trying to catch them up, but it's not the same as.
If you remember last year when we did the virtual learning, there was virtually no oversight, no consequences for not participating. And that was one of the key points that as a board, we emphasized going into this thing that the students are going to have to be accountable to do the work that they agree to do in this a virtual format. And I know it's difficult, self-discipline for young people. For older people, sometimes it's difficult. But when you elected that path to take virtual learning, you also elected to be accountable for your actions. And I'm a firm believer in that if you don't do the work, you shouldn't get the grade. I don't know, what does everybody else think?
And you know, that's been one of the obstacles, I guess. I understand why Governor Kemp in March made the decision that nobody's grade was going to go down. We were all flipped into a completely different world of distance learning, and we were not ready. That was not the case this time, and Governor Kemp has not put out that expectation. I mean, this time we had a chance to plan. We had a chance to customize our courses in Edgenuity. Our elementary teachers had a chance to, they had to gather from a lot of different areas because we didn't have a quality product like Edgenuity. But right now we have a lot of middle and high school students who are very far behind. But in most cases, and I haven't had a ton of phone calls, I've probably talked to 10 parents of middle and high school students. And in every one of those cases, when I go into Edgenuity and look, you know, the mom will say, my child goes in the room every day and works all day long. And, you know, I can look with math. She worked for a minute and 20 seconds. Social studies, she worked for 12 seconds. And, you know, it's right there. And you know, parents are surprised. And so, you know, we have to have that conversation. Maybe they should work in the kitchen.
Yeah, because they're not working on the assignment. They might be working on the computer, but not the assignment.
We know how
One of the things,
shortcuts.
yeah, one of the things that we've asked the virtual facilitators at the middle school level to do is on the Edgenuity progress report. It tells you how many minutes a day you've got to work to stay caught up in that class. And so it's right there. And so we're trying to get parents to look at those things. We're trying to get facilitators to send a Kendo that says that. You know, a kid doesn't have to work for 4 hours straight. Our longest course in middle school, if the kid worked like they were supposed to, they would only have to work in that class, I think, for 49 minutes a day. They don't have to work for 4 straight hours. They can work for 45 minutes and then take a break for a while and work for a little bit longer. But they do have to work. And it's got to be equivalent to what would be happening in school. So that's why student motivation is one of the threats that I listed there. because I believe that some of our students didn't realize that they were going to have this computer-based instruction. Some of our middle school facilitators, in their Google Meets, they'll do things like a number talk, and the students really like that, and they say, I thought that it was gonna be like this, I thought that it was gonna be a teacher talking to me all day. They thought it was gonna be kind of like being in school, but, you know, being at home, in the comfort of their home or whatever. And so, they've been surprised at that, and so that's the adherence to the virtual learning contract. And, we do not have kids logging in for the, amounts of time that they need to. And that's gonna lead to probably the most important threat, which is when these kids come back, in many cases, we're gonna have to have a pretty intensive intervention plan, to make sure that we get these kids caught up. And, our teachers, middle and high, are worried about that. And it's weighing heavily on them. And so that would be something that we're faced with, but we're trying to be creative, and there will probably be some scheduling things that we can do to help with that. But we may have to look down the road at having some serious summer school opportunities.
Dr. Brisson, didn't our parents have to sign a contract
Yes,
of expectations for virtual classroom?
that's
Mhm.
correct.
I mean, it's no different than doing your work in the classroom. You have to do your work if you want to graduate, if you want to. And then the hysteria of the COVID, when school was starting, a lot of parents elected the virtual option and maybe didn't understand I've heard a lot of people say, I'm so glad it's a second semester where I can send my kids back to school. I didn't realize how much I was signing up for it, but the opportunity is there for the students and the parents to get what they need. I don't see why they should be treated any different than somebody in the classroom. Maybe I'm too old school.
No, it should be that way. I'll tell you this, I got a nephew who lives in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And at first they were gonna do where they went to school for 4 days and, went to, I think they did virtual for 4 days and went in person one day. They were gonna try something like that or how it was. Well, they decided to go completely virtual until, January. And what they're doing is the teachers are actually on there with them live. Whether they're using a platform with them, the kid must have their picture, be live. They can't have a little emoji or a little icon up there saying that I'm here. They have to be there. And my nephew said that what the teacher will periodically do, she'll periodically call on a kid to make sure that kid is being attentive and, that type of thing. And I know that this is just something that, like you said, we were in the twilight zone, so I understand everybody was. And, but there are different people that are trying different things. And, I'm sure that because you're resourceful that way, I'm sure you're looking at a lot of different
Right,
stuff.
but I will say that is a different situation when everybody is.
Yeah, it's a whole group,
And so
right.
Right now, we have teachers that are facilitating
Uh-huh.
16 or 17 virtual learners, but they still have a class.
The regular
of students
class.
that are sitting in front of them. So I do think that when you're all virtual, there are some things at your disposal that are different. And that's what I was talking about scheduling. And listen, I've not said this out loud to you guys, it's a little different in high school because they're on a block schedule, but at our middle schools, I kind of anticipate that they might do a lot of scheduling changes and put the kids who are coming back from virtual into some classes together so that the teachers aren't having to go back and backfill some gaps in their learning, that they'll be able to do that without that impacting students who don't necessarily need that. It's unusual for me to say something like that, because I really believe in heterogeneous grouping, but I think that we're gonna have to be creative like that, because while I think that we are offering a quality product and people who are following the letter of the law, are doing fine, or doing well. I don't think it's been perfect for everybody. So, we're gonna have some holes to fill, we're gonna have to be creative in our thinking. But I do think there's a difference when you're trying to run in-person school system, virtual school system, and just doing all of it.
I guess these were the reservations that y'all had at the beginning of this when you were discussing providing this option. I can see where the reservation came from when we did not offer those options at the beginning of this, which brings up I think we put in that contract. I remember reading kids being engaged and logged in throughout the course of the day. I know you mentioned, they can log in and do a couple of things for a few hours and then take a break and all that. And that's, with everyone, we want our kids in school to have a break, and they have them in transition classes. But to me, when they're not logged in, when they're logged in for a minute and 40, certain seconds, at that point, we need to make contact with the parent. Your kid is not cooperating with this. They're going to potentially fail. And just having that honest conversation, the parents got to be accountable just as well as the student, because they agreed to this contract that they were going to participate in this virtual learning. These were things that had to go through. I know a lot of parents are transitioning back to work, and it's going to change things for them, but they got to make sure that their kids are engaged in learning and not in the room playing video games or sleeping on.
And those facilitators do make contact with the parents at least once a week. That was part of our guidelines that we share with teachers. And so, I feel like that's happening. Communication is really important, and I have teachers say, can we expel kids from virtual learning if they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing? But we do still have a pandemic, and it's difficult. Our teachers are working hard, our administrators are working hard, and it's not perfect, but we're trying to figure it out, and we're doing the best we can. And when we stumble,
At the end of the day, you guys can work your fingers to the bone, but if the parents and the student doesn't step up and do their responsibilities, it looks like we're going to have a robust summer school opportunity.
Yeah, you're right. It's accountability, and the parents, I kind of fought for us to, give everybody that option, and I'm still good with that. But in saying that, we need all our parents to understand that you may have to go a little old school with Johnny and let Johnny know, look, you're gonna get up when you're supposed to get up and do or guess what? When I get home at 10 o'clock tonight from work, you're gonna be up at 10 o'clock doing whatever you need to do. But it's got to be a partnership between the school system and the parents, and not just the school system. So I just want everybody to know that I understand exactly what you're saying, and if parents are being contacted, we need our parents to kind of help us out, especially with the platform you have. They're able to access it just about at any time.
Weekly.
So I'm asking the teacher, if I understood you right, you said that there is actually a record a parent can look at that will say, here's how long your student. So there's also a record of how long the actual class was open for that, like.
Oh, it's open 24/7.
Yeah.
A kid right now could be on Edgenuity. So it's always open. And some of our kids, we do have kids that have gotten really pretty far ahead. Gayla Hope told me the other day she had to call the kids and say, you need to stay So a lot of the middle school teachers are virtual facilitators, are doing things like if a kid is completely caught up by Thursday, they get a free Friday. And So a lot of our virtual facilitators are kind of dangling a carrot out there to encourage kids, and they're being very creative about all of those things. And so I'm pleased. So you need our facilitators. Good work.
I just want to commend their pictures too, and you all, I've heard nothing but good things. Made it come in and meet a while back. Baseball play problem, Little League 17 inches wide, Major League is 17 inches wide. And I feel like we're keep widening the plate to make accommodations. And I'm like, you Ray, at some point, we gotta hold them accountable, we gotta accountable on the job of it, so I just feel like parents and kids are gonna have to be held accountable. Parent is a child's first emotional influence. I commend you all on what you're doing. Just hope that parents recognize that long-term goals is that their child needs education. They're going to have baseball practice tonight because you didn't do the schoolwork, and so we, I think y'all should be doing.
Mhm.
Thank you.
All right, and I left the capital project update with hopes I may get to have some numbers for you tonight. I did not get those. I mean, we're full speed ahead with the, oh, did I'm sorry. Back up. Oh, sorry. Mr. Ellis, do you have any?
Yes, GSBA has received all of our, evaluations, and our input from each board member. They're working to compile that, information. It should be sent to me tomorrow. Once they send it to me, I will be sending it out to you. This will actually be, our advertisement. And so they've taken all of our information from the assessments that we completed, and they have built our actual job description and our advertisement on how we want it to look. Me and Ms. Renee have worked to give other information to them as far as pictures from the district, information about how many certified, non-certified staff we have. All of our school information is in there. I think we might have included some scoring or some other demographics in there. So they'll be sending that, and what we will need to do, we were trying to have it in for us to be able to discuss tonight. So being that they're going to send it to me tomorrow, we will send it out and have our discussion via email. And if y'all are good with it, then we can send it back to them to have it drafted to be released for November 9th. November 9th puts us on our schedule to begin the opening announcement on that superintendent search. At the same time, on November 9th, will also be the community survey that will go out at the same time. So he'll be sending all that information to make sure that we are releasing that and making sure that's the things that we want in there as a board are on there to be asked as far as for our community survey, and also what we want to be in that announcement. And if y'all were fine with discussing that by email, we do not have to have a call meeting for that. If it looks good, then we can move forward with that for November 9th.
Good.
Y'all have any questions about the actual assessment or anything? I think the assessment was pretty good, as far as questions that it asked of us. And so I'm interested to see what kind of information they compiled from 5 different people.
Some of those where you had to rank them like 1 through 10, that's pretty tough.
Yeah, it was very tough. So again, November 9th is our projected date that we will have the draft announcement that will be released to, the state and nationwide. The search will actually begin. That's all I have.
Okay. And now, again, I left that capital project update because I might get some numbers today from Mr. Buckley in regards to the track. So I'm waiting on, sure I'll have my next meeting. Same thing, Mark Ross Smith, and also the practice field, all that's a go. We're just waiting on them to get the final numbers for your approval before they can go ahead and go with it. don't have a whole lot on that, sorry. Questions on that?
Jay, have we looked at a potential groundbreaking date, or you wanna wait until?
Well, yeah, I was kind of wanting to narrow it down and, when we want to get out there.
We don't wanna break
And then,
ground
You know,
for
the family,
this.
if we're doing that, I kind of want, I know the family, one of the family members are out of town, out of country.
Yeah,
Yes.
So,
yeah.
I hated to schedule something them not available, but.
But she ain't gonna be available for the next 3 years. So, yeah, her husband's military. Yeah, so it's gonna be a minute for Nicole is back on U.S. Soil, but her dad is aware of it. Her aunt Dean, she's aware of it, and I talk to her all the time on Facebook. We can Facebook Live. She can get it, and so she could actually be a part of it virtually.
Okay. All right, we're gonna get something together soon. All right, anything else? Next item is the 4 policies I presented to you last time. Most of all 4 of them were in connection to the new legislation passed latest legislative session, in the area of Title IX, basically what it amounts to. But if you're ready to take action, I didn't hear any questions or concerns last 2 weeks, but they are up for approval, or you can continue reviewing whatever you think is.
You're looking at them as a group, Dr. Brent?
We can, and we can go one by one, and we can pull one out.
My only question, rereading JAA,
Yes,
down on, itemized 2, it's a complaint that they made to the designated coordinator who shall, without further investigation, report the complaint to the board chairperson. And then item 4, down, going along with the same thing, should have the complaint referred to the Board of Education. Do we want to make those consistent, or is that intentionally made with? See what I'm talking about
is this,
on JAA?
yes, I see what you're saying.
Number 2, which one's your
On policy JAA,
number 2?
and it's if you've got a complaint and it's involving
Yeah.
the superintendent, and they can go. Under 2, we've got, report a complaint to the board chairperson.
I like that change. Let's change it to the chairperson, just because, I mean, anybody can have an accusation against them, you know what I'm saying? So,
I kind of felt like we need to be consistent
you
with that.
fine with the
I would say
board chairperson?
Yeah.
So the change would come on number 4?
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good with that.
That's the one.
Would you use the term Board of Education? Would you use the term school board?
Well, I just think they'll report to the chairperson.
Yeah, I was just looking at where it says, talking about the Board of Education. Yeah.
Call a meeting, he'll call it, and we can discuss it. I just felt like we need to be consistent there. That's true, it says what, Board of Education.
Yeah,
It says board chair.
yeah, I got you.
And a lot of times, I think I'm getting where you're coming, because a lot of people, when they say Board of Education, they think the Board of Education has to be office.
Right.
Not us as.
Right.
Because we're actually the school board and not the Board of Education.
That's right.
I think you can clarify that and say the board chairperson.
I'm good with that.
Do we need more time to review these, or do we want to take action? Not,
I make a motion we adopt all 4.
with the change we just made with that
Correct.
on,
Mhm.
Change.
on number 4. Okay. All right, there's another, we can do that.
Move it second. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Now,
Yes, ma'am.
The last item, I just wanted to, let Mr. Aldridge just mention the, I guess this is our exit review letter from Ms. Rhonda Metz, who's part of the, Department of Education for our financial review. Randy, do you have a copy of that?
Obviously, about, I guess, a couple months ago, we kind of went over the audit report. And this was actually another letter that we got in addition to that. I guess they were finishing up with one last thing that they wanted to relay to us, and we just wanted to let y'all know. It talks about here, it says the financial review of the Georgia Department of Education has the responsibility to follow up and close audit reports which show findings and improper question calls as shown in the above mentioned audit report for the funds or state or local and federal dispersed by this department. It also goes on to talk about the federal guidelines require the indirect cost rate to be calculated in final audited expenditure data. Your school district previously has submitted an indirect cost survey based on unaudited financial statement. And then to complete their district financial statement submitted part, if your school district utilizes indirect cost, which we do not, so that it doesn't come into effect for us, you will need to provide the additional information to them, but since we don't, that was not important. And then it goes on to say, it says, you must determine after review that your audit report for the year June 30, 2019, that there were no findings and or question calls. So this completes our audit resolution process, and your file of the audit report is completely closed. That completely closed out that June 30, 2019 audit report. There was nothing else to report or anything else that we had to go back with. That completely closed out the audit report. We got that correspondence. We wanted to express that to you.
The next time I read one of these letters, I'm starting from the bottom, okay?
Yeah.
Because when I was reading all that, I was like,
So you never read it.
Yeah.
And I did the same thing. I read the top of it, like, the audit report was fine, and then I
Yeah.
realized, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks, sir.
All right, we're moving to executive session to discuss or deliberate on appointment, employment, compensation, hiring, disciplinary action, or dismissal, or periodic evaluation of a public officer or interview applicants for position of superintendent. Have a motion for executive session.
so move.
Second.
Move to second.
Rella,
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Davidson,
Yes, ma'am.
Stephen,
Yes, ma'am.
Mary.
Yes, ma'am. Excuse me, Chair.